How's it going, everyone? This is Austin with Windy Ridge Trapper and Windy Ridge Outdoors, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about how to make more money whenever you're trapping, or how to increase your returns while you're on the trap line. Got a couple of different ways that you can make some more money, and a couple of different tips and tricks and all that good stuff. But before we get in too deep, I would like to go over the sponsor of this video, Windy Ridge Trapper. We've been making bait and lure for, I don't know, I'd say Dad invented Beaver Buster probably in 06 or 07. We've been making bait and lure for almost 20 years coming up on. I don't know which ones that you guys may not have heard of, but we make Mad Dog, Beaver Buster, Neon Light Delight, our glow-in-the-dark lure, Agent Orange, Beaver Tail Chunk, Coon Juice is a really big seller. But if you guys are trappers and you're looking for something new to spice it up, or if you've already used our stuff and you want to restock, whenever you buy our stuff, that directly helps us make more of these videos. If you're in West Virginia, we've got multiple local distributors that sell our stuff. If you're not in West Virginia and you're wanting to buy some, you can buy our stuff at murrayslures.com. Mike Murray's a really good guy. He's definitely our biggest distributor. And if you guys are out of state and you'd like to pick up some of that stuff there, we surely would appreciate it. Also, if you're a trapping supply dealer or a fur buyer and you own your own little shop and you'd like to carry our stuff, you can find us online. You can give me a call and we'd be more than happy to help you kind of get set up. So without further ado, we'll get back to the video. Alright, now that that's over, I would say that the number one tip and trick to make more money is becoming more efficient at putting up your fur. I know that sounds like such a no-brainer, but you can't really control what you catch, but you can definitely control how that animal or how that hide turns out. It all comes down to practice, and it kind of depends on what you're putting up. Some animals are a lot easier to put up than others. I'll tell you a really good animal to practice on is possums, just because they're not worth hardly anything. So if you mess them up, you're not out a whole lot. They've got really thin leather, so it kind of teaches you a little bit of patience and some technique. So that's one animal that I would definitely recommend practicing on. And obviously, if you're watching this video, you're familiar enough with YouTube, and there are all kinds of different YouTube channels where you can watch and kind of see how everyone does it. There is no one way to do it. Everyone kind of has their own technique. We put up a lot more coon and beaver than anything else, and even with something like a coon or a beaver, there are people who do it differently. A couple of good channels I can think of right off the top of my head besides ours that you can watch. I know Coon Creek Outdoors, they have a bunch of really good fur handling videos. We've got a couple on our channel, and I think Wolfer Nation has, I think they have some. I know he definitely has trapping videos, but I don't know if he has videos of him putting up fur. But those are three that I would check out. I would say that my number two tip would be taking your time whenever you're looking where to sell your hides. Different states kind of have different situations. We're pretty lucky here in West Virginia just because we have a pretty good state fur auction. We have a graded fur auction, which that makes a big difference in how much money you can make. We've also got there's not nearly as many fur buyers here as there used to be, but there are a relatively decent amount of fur buyers. Well, if you're not planning on taking your fur to an auction and you're planning on taking it to a fur buyer, I would say that my next best tip is to figure out if the person you're selling it to is reputable or not. And I'm not saying this for everyone, right? Everyone who's in the trapping industry has heard it time and time again. All fur buyers are crooks. That's not true. There are some that are, but that's not the truth for all of them. And I'll tell you the easiest way to tell if who you're selling to is a crook or not. If you're going to a new fur buyer, if you cannot do one of these three things, he's a crook, okay? If you can't call him on the phone and he won't give you an idea of what your hides are worth, if he says, oh, we'll just settle up whenever you get here, that's red flag number one. If they don't have a website or a Facebook page, that's not a big deal. But if they have a Facebook page or a website or something like that, and they don't have prices posted, that's another real big red flag. There should be total transparency in what they're paying for your stuff. And I'll tell you exactly why I believe that. And I mean, it's a shame that it's not a bigger thing in the trapping industry, We are fur buyers. We post all of our prices, and I will be the first to admit, we do not pay the most. We just don't. I don't care if we buy a ton of fur. I want carcasses and skulls, which is why we pay a lot more than most people do for carcasses and skulls. And by the way, I'm talking about carcasses that have already been skinned. I don't mean, an unfinished product. I'm talking about just the carcass, no hide. But yeah, I mean, we post everything for anyone in the world to see. As long as you've got internet, you can see it. And if you ever call us, people call me all the time. I'm always happy to kind of give them an idea of what we're paying. Another thing that fur buyers are really bad about doing, and I'm not going to say names, is they'll post top prices, but they don't post a full price list. So for example, you can go online and you can see other companies that do it. And I'm going to be honest, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think on coon, our top is between $5 and $8. Eastern coons are just not worth a lot of money right now. And, if we only posted our top, people who aren't super educated would look at that and be like, wow, coons are worth $5 or $8. That's a lot more than what I've heard. I'll just go catch a bunch of them and take them. And then they would get there and they would figure out very quickly that 90% of their coons are not a top coon. They're not going to be jumbo, number one, select, heavy coons. Which is why we post our select, number 1, 2, 3, all the way down. And we post all the different sizes. So it's very important that whoever you're dealing with, they either have prices posted or they're willing to tell you over the phone what your hides are worth. And one last thing I would like to add to that, and I always tell people whenever they call us, no fur buyer is going to be able to tell you exactly to the penny what your hide's worth because they can't grade your fur over the phone. I want to be completely honest about that. But you should be able to say, I've got this animal, if it is a number one coon, to make it easier. If you call a fur buyer and say, I've got a coon, it's a double X and it's a number one. If I get there and you agree and you grade it out as that, how much is that worth? And if he can't tell you basically an exact dollar figure, that is not a good sign. So that's just one thing that I would like to encourage everybody to make sure that whoever you're dealing with, they're at least willing to be honest with you, because a lot of times you've got to drive a long way to get to those places. My number 3 recommendation on how to make the best return out of your hides that you can is utilizing the entire animal. And this is kind of subjective. It kind of depends where you live in the United States, but a lot of times, not on every animal, but most of them, almost everything can be used. There are fur buyers and taxidermists all over the country that will buy the carcass, that'll buy the skull, the glands, the urine, everything. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, we buy skulls and carcasses, something that would normally just get thrown in the trash. So that's just as a way to make a little bit extra money. And a lot of times with how poor the fur market is, it can be a substantial amount of money. I mean, we pay up to $8 a piece just for a bobcat carcass. I can't remember off the top of my head how much we pay for bobcat skulls, anywhere from $5 to $10, I think. I can't remember. But, that's potentially an extra $15 to $20 that you were just going to throw in the trash. So it's good to talk to people around you and kind of see if there's anyone that does that near you. As I mentioned, the glands are worth money. Every animal has glands. Not every animal's glands are worth as much. Coyote glands, bobcat glands, musk glands, fox glands are usually worth a decent amount of money. Obviously, beaver castor always has a good market. Every now and then, beaver oil sacs, some people buy those, and so on and so forth. Just something else that if you take the time to learn how to do that, you can make a lot of money. Another thing that I know there's a really good market for is bladder, urine that is still in the bladder whenever you harvest the animal, because it is as pure and fresh as possible. And I know that there is a good market for that. So these are just ways that you can make some more money. Another good way to make some extra money is looking to see if there's bounties on animals where you live. We don't really have that here in West Virginia. Every now and then the DNR runs specials to where, like, if you catch an otter and you turn in the carcass, they'll give you like a DNR gift card or something like that. But in a lot of states, there are bounties on beaver. I know that there are some states out west that have bounties on wolf. And those bounties can be worth a lot more than the hide, you know what I mean? And a lot of times all you have to do is take them like a foot or a tail or something. They don't even normally need to see the hide. So you get to keep everything that you caught off the animal that's important, and then the government just gives you money for catching it, because most people don't want to do that. So that would be another really good way to make some extra money. One thing I would also like to throw in there, there's a big belief that you make a lot more money when you trap if you tan your hides. And I would like to touch on that just a little bit. We had heard that for forever. Whenever Dad owned the company, he tanned some hides. I just had a whole bunch of them tanned last year. And one thing that people don't really think about is the cost of getting hides tanned. We've had a lot of bad experiences with select tanneries in the past. I'm not going to say anything because it's been a long time ago and maybe they're good now. But basically the only tannery that we've ever sent anything to that we have gotten back what we sent every single time has been Moyles. And before I say anything bad about Moyles, they are a great tannery service. They do a great job. You'll get your animals back. They'll be in good shape. The only thing that's bad about Moyles, for us anyway, is they are literally almost all the way across the country. I think that it costed us almost $400 or $500 just in shipping to get our stuff there and back. And I think we spent over $2,000 or $3,000. And this wasn't a lot of animals. This might have been maybe 100 or less. I don't even think it was 100 hides that we got tanned. So it is a big investment. The other issue with tanned hides, it's a lot easier to sell finished fur than it is to sell tanned. And the reason why, fur buyers want finished raw fur. We already have people lined up we can sell it to. And really the only people that buy tanned hides are consumers. So like people who want it for decoration. Every now and then you can sell them to taxidermists, but you're limited on who you can sell them to. So whenever you really think about it, unless you have something super special like an albino or a black or something like that of any species, you're really not very often going to make a lot more money off of tanned hides than you will finished hides, unless you tan them yourself. And also, it's super difficult to get a good tan whenever you do it yourself. As I mentioned, we used to do it ourselves, and we never could get that garment quality soft. We just didn't have the right machinery for it. So that's just one more small thing I wanted to throw in. I would say the last piece of advice that I would give, whoever your local fur dealer is, if they're a good person and they're not super far away from you, I would try to develop a relationship with them, because they're going to do everything in their power to help you, as long as they're a good, honest person. We've got all kinds of customers now, and I can think of a couple off the top of my head, where whenever they first came out, honestly, the stuff that they brought was not very good. They didn't do a good job putting it up, and the animals that they harvested weren't prime. But the deal is it wasn't like they were just coming out to try to make a quick buck. They cared about trapping, which is something that we have in common with them. And whenever you meet with people that you have a shared interest with, you want to see them do better. So I would highly recommend to develop a relationship with whoever you're planning on selling your fur to. And as long as they're a good person, they're going to help you succeed. They're going to tell you what they really want. They're going to tell you how to make that a better product, because it doesn't just help you, it helps them too. Whenever you do a better job putting up your fur, they can pay you more. And then it makes it easier for them to turn around and sell it, because it's always going to be a lot easier to sell a high-end, well-finished product than it's going to be to sell a low-end, like for example, a greased coon, a smaller greased coon. There's nobody that wants them, you know what I mean? So I would highly recommend trying to get up a good relationship with your local dealer. I'd like to finish off by saying I really appreciate everyone who took the time to watch our last video that we published going over our kind of speculation on the fur prices this year. By the way, if you didn't see that video, we'll put it somewhere here or somewhere on the screen. I don't know, in case you didn't see that and you want to go back and see it. Also, we had a whole bunch of people from all across America kind of comment where they were. I'm pretty sure that Pennsylvania definitely won. I think that there were more people from PA than anywhere else. There were a lot from Kentucky and Ohio and Minnesota as well. But yeah, if anyone else wants their state to be number one, let's go ahead and do that again. Let's see where you're trapping at. or you can let us know what your favorite animal to trap is, or what your favorite lure or bait brand, anything trapping related. Anytime we get to talk to each other, that's great. But one other thing I'd like to say real quick, we make these videos for you guys. So if there's anything in particular that you want to know about, anything you want to see, anything we can help you with, please let us know in the comments. It doesn't just help you, it helps us. If you don't care, if you like this video, leave us a like. If you'd like to see more, you can subscribe. And until next time, you guys have a good one.